Hey guys, welcome back to BAM, Being Anxious, Anxious Me. Last video that we were talking about voice and how it indicates our emotions when we're speaking with someone and how we can use that to gauge their emotions and how we can talk to them so we can communicate better. This will allow us to lower anxiety because mostly what it will be is taking control of everything that we do, right? So we're being consciously competent so we can unconsciously be competent and almost be in an autopilot state. So we talked about the 5 indicators. So this was pace, pitch, tone, rhythm, and volume. We're going to use these 5 with 5 elements: earth, fire, water, metal, air. With all these 5, we'll basically use specific voices for specific instances, circumstances, situations, and we can basically know how to gauge the person with an idea that we're trying to convey something, persuade, or inspire during a conversation with another person. So first is going to be the earth voice. This is mostly instinctive, authoritative, and grounding. 100 million neurons that are in our guts. I don't know if you ever heard the phrase a gut feeling, but that's mostly where it comes from. Whenever we're trying to convey authority, like our parents do when they're talking to us, it's more like stern. When you're in crisis, it creates a calm and stability to the situation. A lot of political speakers actually do this when they're talking to the public about terrorism or any mishap. It's almost like the Marlboro Man.
So when he talks like this,
A Russian man drinking vodka.
vodka, I want vodka.
Excuse my Russian accent, I know it's not good. Another example would be Santa when he's saying ho, ho, ho. It comes from the lower part of our abdomen, like an from a caveman or a foghorn, like oh, and you feel your whole body vibrate. Speak slow and deeper. This often happens with people who are bigger, taller. You have a gravity to your voice. This is important, especially if you ever want to strengthen a conversation. Next is the fire. This is mostly passion, power, and vitality. A good example of this would be Michael Jackson. It's not a shout, it's more loud than anything. So more over where the solar plexus and the diaphragm is more like on the lower part of your chest. An intense volume to it. It's almost like the haka dance in rugby where they start getting ready to play and they're trying to intimidate their opponents. Or like when a martial artist is saying Kia! Or, you know, Hia! It's like you feel it in the higher part of your solar plexus where your diaphragm is. You can also understand the passion behind it, how Italians speak when they're passionate about their food, like spaghetti or lasagna. Feel it as you're speaking. You can use this is at work because you have to demonstrate power. Next is the water voice. And this is more about compassion, about praise and affirmation. Examples of this would be like Marvin Gaye, Justin Timberlake, or Alicia Keys. You would use these in instances when you're trying to apologize or you're trying to show some compassion and care for other people. So when someone's parents die or a friend died, you would say, "I'm so sorry." And you would feel it mostly in your chest and your throat. So you can use this in lullabies, like my baby on the treetop, and sirens, wee woo wee woo. You want to be able to relax your jaw, so it has a higher pitch and a warm tone. If you still didn't understand how this works, it's almost like when you hear a wolf howl, like oh. It's more in the throat, so it comes from the chest. Next is the metal voice, and this is mostly for focus and clarity. So a great example of this would be Lois from Family Guy. You can hear it in her voice that she talks like this. And mostly what this is used for is when you're in loud situations where there's a lot of background sound, like concerts, anything that would have to do with school, especially when you're trying to present and people are trying to, you know, talk over you, you can always use that because it's something that cuts through. So that's the middle part of it. It's almost like a sword. The witch, my pretty. Meow. A great example would be Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy. Like, Ricky. Or the Roadrunner when he's saying meep meep. It's more nasal. Last is going to be the air. And this is more about inspiration, possibilities, and spiritual connectedness. So you can hear these in prayer. It's almost like a whisper, right? You know, you would whisper something to someone and you'll get a little bit more intimate to them. It's a little bit more sensual. Not to get this confused with the water voice, because the water voice is almost like you're trying to be a little bit more compassionate. This one is almost like you're trying to tell something with someone with as much air as you can. Like the French, like, ooh la la. Or when you're talking to babies, oh, you're so cute. It shows an innocence and vulnerability. I actually speak like this all the time. So I have to work more on my earth voice and my fire voice because the other ones are naturally easy for me. So now that we have the 5 indicators, now we have the 5 elements, and we're going to combine them together to have the ability to communicate a lot better. And this is just as effective as any kind of rhetoric that you can use in an argument, a discussion, a conversation, or anything that you want to communicate perfectly with, right? Because mostly what the anxiety comes from is that people don't understand us. So we misinterpret things, and that creates more anxiety, more frustration, and more miscommunication. Feel free to subscribe. I actually have more videos about a lot of other topics as well, and if you have any suggestions for a topic, feel free to actually comment below. So most likely I'll have a subscribe button right here or right here, anywhere. I'm not really sure. Feel free. Take this as much as you can, and hopefully it'll help with your anxiety. Alright guys, so I'm out and about, what I just talked about.